is hard. Winning is what's easy. So for EnVy to be able to turn something around after having such devastating losses, as you mentioned, being 2-0'd by 7 different teams, when things are clicking like they seem to be going today, that's the easy part. So I want to see if they can close this out 2-0.
See if they can do it here as the picks and bans go through. Graves ban still being picked up. The Jace off the table. And was carried top so loud. And yeah, you're seeing a lot of jungle bans out from Team EnVy trying to remove those options.
Yep, so as we mentioned, red side ban on Graves. Quite smart by EnVy. And they see Acadian as the biggest threat on Echo Fox, which he should be. He leads the league in kills coming into this week, which is spectacular as a rookie jungler. Obviously, junglers having a much better time killing people this season than in previous seasons, just based on the champion pools.
Oh, sure. Does leave Kha'Zix available as a first pick, though. As I look back over Game 1's pick ban, that was the very first ban that came out from Team EnVy. And that means it's going to be picked up here, and Acadian will have a higher impact champion. There
we go. So the Kha'Zix nerfs were 0.2 to his attack damage ratio on Q, also reduced the cooldown refresh on Evolve Q from 60% to 45%, but still does a lot of damage.
Yes,
I think it's safe to say, just not as much as last patch.
Yep. In a late game build, it's 10% off the damage. You very rarely get that far into the build, so it's not quite as severe as that might sound, but it does matter a bit. Varus going to be grabbed up yet again for Apollo. No surprise, really. They had first picked that in the previous game, so
yeah,
still high priority.
I am skeptical of letting that Varus through. Even though you have Acadian as your carry, with that Varus, I think there's a reason so many teams ban him right away or immediately first pick him. I do feel like Varus, in most cases, would be a higher priority than Kha'Zix. I can understand why Echo Fox is picking Kha'Zix for Acadian because he has been their carry, but that's a high price to pay to get Kha'Zix.
Meanwhile, on the side, though, Elysian actually does get picked up by Lyra, so still a high priority on this champion. Seems to be number 4 in the pool when Rengar and Graves off the table and Kha'Zix picked up. Both these junglers kind of feel that way, but they're trading picks pretty much back and forth here as the Malzahar's now been grabbed for Echo Fox, and now we'll see if EnVy get the chance to pick the Corki they did in the previous game, as it was very effective. They did the most damage in the entire one, and Keith switching it up a little bit here. Jhin was available. Would rather play Ashe, and
yeah,
well, Ashe Malz can be a very scary bot lane.
Yeah, Ashe Malz, Ashe Jhin are actually both really good bottom lanes. The Malzahar Jhin has a little bit more pressure pre-6. The level 6 with the Ashe Arrow combined with the Malzahar ult is a kill on most, unless you're getting exhausted at a very inopportune time. So I do like that synergy, but once again, they're giving up a lot of stuff for it. The Corki flying through for Ninja.
Yeah.
What's Frog going to play against it this time?
That same Corki Varus, and now we get to see if Echo Fox can remove some of the options that went well last time. The only difference so far in the lineup is that Lyra's playing a different jungler. Of course, that TF ban comes through against Froggen, and as we saw in the previous game, they weren't afraid of Anivia, and in fact, it wasn't picked anyway. The TF ban, though, does stick, and yeah, let's see. Does Echo Fox get to ban away these tanks? Will they receive that same Singed ban at the end of the second draft phase or not? We'll wait to see.
Yeah, I think EnVy should ban the same 2 champions because those have been, in my opinion, the 2 most successful solo laners for them. Not to mention, EnVy has their first choice. They get the first pick coming after the second ban phase. Wouldn't be surprised to just see them blind pick Shen because it worked for them last game, and their team composition is going to be very similar. Just insert a slightly different support than Malzahar, but their solo lanes can be exactly the same.
So actually respecting the hell out of the fact that Syndra was good in the Corki in the previous game, even well, they might receive a Shen ban, and that might be the reason. Worth noting that if Looper wants to play something like a Fiora, there is no tank on the lineup. Jungle and support already been picked up, and you're not going to play Cho'Gath mid, so it almost default puts Looper onto a tank champion. Their wave clear doesn't even look good enough to play like a 4-1 and play defensively otherwise, so you must expect the tank. Shen going to have to hit. Well, that leaves up the easy Maokai, and this is what I was kind of concerned about. If they go Maokai, you can't do the Fiora counter pick and feel good about it.
Yeah, but it also depends on how they want to play, right?
Of course.
If they're split pushing with their top laner anyway, then they may not care if it is a tank or not. We've seen people be somewhat successful with it, so I'm guessing that they're kind of banking on Looper's ability to win with a carry against the Maokai, whether that be Camille or the other one. So, but that's, or the Fiora, but that's EnVy opting out of that choice for now, going with the Morgana and waiting to last pick their top laner.
All right, Morgana support, and it does mean that Team EnVy get counter pick, and if they want to prioritize Shen, that'll be okay. And of course, it also keeps in mind that they can't play Singed as the counter either. Swain would have been a good one. There's plenty of interesting things that Looper will play, and so nope, it's going to be him allowed to play the Maokai as well. EnVy defers to that, and they didn't want to get counterpicked again. Swain and Singe both have done very well against that, and Froggen dives a bit down to the champion pool. Now, he wasn't a very good Azir player before. In the last year, he basically never played the champion.
Yeah.
But Azir has been seen as the sort of meta counterpick to Corki.
Kind of cycling through a lot of these champions. He has played 7 different mid lane champions on the year. This will be his second Orianna game. He is 1-0 on it, so it fits very well with the Maokai and their overall team composition. And I think it's a bit of a skill matchup against Corki, if not a little bit disadvantaged with how well Corki can shove.
Well, maybe rough stuff for Froggen, and then if champion pool issues still become a thing to worry about. Cinder, of course, off the table, his TF as well. He personally received 3 bans, and Rumble will be the final pickup here, so a more carry-oriented top laner for Seraph. A fairly light front line for Team EnVy. Could be something you can push through, but Rumble and Maokai typically can feel good for the Rumble.
Yeah, very poke-based composition, and their pick is mostly revolving around Hakuho's ability to land Dark Bindings or Apollo's ability to land Varus Ultimate. So not without the ability to pick people off, but very much kind of a long-arm team composition by EnVy. They want to keep Echo Fox at distance, mainly Looper, for the initiations.
But the nice thing is, if Hakuho has the reflexes, he can definitely Black Shield you before Twisted Advanced lands and prevent Maokai from locking up the target. You can do the same for an Asher, the same for a Malzahar ultimate, so I feel like it's really in Hakuho's hands to make sure he can stymie all of those aggressive plays. Echo Fox with a very standard, very forward momentum team composition, much like the last one, to be honest. It's an engaged, focused bot lane marksman and plenty of forward motion tools from the rest of the squad. And Lyra and the rest of Team EnVy, I should say, wanting to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. Echo Fox bringing a bit more damage this time as well because they fell victim of not having the ability to burst on any tanks. And then guess what? They're not even playing against tanks this time.
That's true. Well, it means they kill the squishes even faster, so if the engage lands, EnVy gets practically one shot, and we'll see if that comes through as the players load into the game. Echo Fox hoping to rebound off a Game 1 loss as Team EnVy actually doing such a better job of turning their season maybe around. Again, they looked a little bit better yesterday, but couldn't quite close them out. This time around, they did get a Game 1 win. So we ready to get ourselves in a game? Game 2 begins as Team EnVy hopes to make it a 2-0 win.
This is one of the things I love about the LCS is how not every week, or no week, will go exactly to expectations. Coming into this week, we were thinking, man, what's happening to Team Dignitas and EnVy? It's so hopeless. They're the 2 bottom teams for sure. Dignitas is 2-0 this week. They're done. EnVy as well, even though they did lose to Phoenix 1, had very close games. And if they can now take down Echo Fox, who, by the way, people were saying, maybe they're a playoff team now, just throws those expectations right out the window early on in the week.
And it's also kind of bittersweet for Echo Fox, where the curse was they'll lose all their matches in odd weeks, they'll win all their matches in even weeks. It even meant they beat TSM, it even meant they beat FlyQuest in weeks 4 and 2 respectively. But it's like, hey, well, time to break the curse because they're up against Team EnVy. That's going to be a pushover. And well, Game 1 showed otherwise. It was a controlled win the whole way through for Team EnVy. Echo Fox, though, bit of a different composition, and they can win this.
I suppose that is true. While expectations do not always deliver, curses do in the LCS. Team Liquid can tell you all about that one.
I don't know if they're getting 4th this time, chat.
That is the wrong way to break curses. It's to underperform.
Well, underperforming. Echo Fox maybe did a little bit of that in Game 1, but they can still make this better. Ninja, ooh, this could be really cute. If he times it right, you can just steal the Raptors.
Oh.
Akine's going to walk in for the slow, maybe.
He'd want to queue over the wall.
Has to fight Froggen. The idea was cute, but of course you saw how much Echo Fox were waiting around to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, and I just want to point out what these junglers are doing once again, because it has become so prevalent here. Because of the increased experience on Raptors, when you kill the last small Raptor, you hit level 2. And that allows you to more quickly clear the big Raptor, and it's the highest experience camp you can start. Not to mention, because of that pattern these guys have found, it's also fast.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you get some AoE help from your teammates, 3 saplings is the easiest, but Rumble can do a little bit of that as well. And they can move on forward. And we'll see if Lyra goes for the cheeky level 3 gank himself. Of course, red buff will be grabbed, and if he goes partway into Krugs, he'll have that happen himself. And he does, actually. So Lyra doing a pretty heavy clear. Gonna go through his smite on the Krug and gonna use the Recoupable Potion. Acadian Raptor to buff. So different paths here, but it does mean both junglers are topside.
Yeah, last game Acadian did do this path on the Lee Sin, except he basically left the camp at this point before clearing all of it and then ran for a gank from the top side. Doesn't need to do it this time as Seraph has already shoved Hooper into his turret, and a risky yet smart ward by Seraph right there, understanding Acadian could be level 3 incoming top lane. Gets a deep ward where he knows that Looper is trapped on the turret, so the follow-up wouldn't be there, and spots Acadian, stays safe, and gives him freedom to keep pushed up in the lane.
And this is definitely advantage to Lyra, of course. He got a quick recall off, grabbed a longsword, restacked his potions, and now a very powerful Lee Sin knows he's not getting his blue buff stolen, can continue the full clear. But it's worth noting that Lyra's playstyle so far this season has been very much about hard farming. We don't really see him in the lanes that much, and Lee Sin might just power to 6 here.
And even his jungle pathings are predictable levels of hard farming. Kobe was talking about this yesterday. Lyra very often, when on red side, will just do the 3 red side camps into a recall and 1 buy. It's probably at least 3/4 of the time, so that is definitely something that I am hoping teams begin to punish unless Lyra alters his paths.
Yeah, well, they can if they can get their top lanes to push against this, but of course Seraph able to easily push Looper around, and Seraph would have joined the fight first if Acadian wanted to invade, so might be difficult. Acadian is back and got the early blue smite. He's back on the map as well, so slightly different openings for both these players. As Lyra does sneak into this brush, double buffs in tow, has a long sword. And as this minion wave dies, he can sneak into the next if he wants to.
Brush, which is warded. He doesn't go.
So he doesn't get the chance. All right, well, he tried. Didn't lose that much time because his camps are gone anyway. There's only some scuttle crabs to fight for. Acadian killing the exact same camps, 22 monsters apiece is exactly equivalent. Acadian gonna look for the steal. Not gonna get it. He's gonna fight Lyra, though. Half HP on the Lee Sin. Blue smite for the slow. Ward hops in. Flash to follow. Does he have the damage? The shield. Gotta keep him alive a bit longer. Ninja now forced away from the turret as well. Good damage out of Acadian. +1 camp for Lyra. Doesn't mean a ton, though.
Yeah, and Summoner spells actually burned evenly around across the board. Not to mention, Lyra might just go back to farming. So even though it looked very dangerous and was very close to Acadian getting another first blood, end result is not much.
Look at this, though. Seraph roaming down pretty hard. I think he expects Acadian to repeat gank this or something, but it's not going to be much. He had shoved the wave. He wanted to make sure everything was going to be fine. And look at this now into the bot lane. Plenty of damage onto Apollo. The Voidlings run pretty fast thanks to Malefic Visions. He's going to survive it, but yeah, 100 HP left on him.
He still has all of his health potions, though, so start drinking those, Apollo, and you'll be fine. He started with Longsword 3-pot. Now, chugging them, 2 of them down. He's got 1 left, so he should actually be able to sustain up and stay in this lane. Very close for Echo Fox in these early plays, but unable to convert. Sometimes that makes you press a little bit too hard or give you a false sense of security in a game, like you're smashing these guys when in reality you aren't. Ooh. Still a flash on Ninja, no flash on Acadian.
Flash EQ could be almost up to killing. That's enough.
Got it. He can flash it, though.
Yeah. You can't get into the range for the rest of it. Of course, Acadian couldn't quite jump the rest. His flash was down. Seraph does teleport in. And Looper actually crucially tanking the harpoons. Now the route in for Looper himself slows down Lyra. And just a trade of summoner spells here. Nothing too much gained. And the top lane actually roughly at equilibrium anyway. Shouldn't be too much loss from either side. As they all head back to their side of the map.
Yeah, and all the while this is happening, Seraph is out farming Looper slightly in the top side. Almost always picks himself a slightly favorable laning matchup. And also takes a lot of pride in his laning. Seraph, some of the best CS differential numbers in the league.
Very aggressive play by Gate. He's actually pushed Hakuo very low. You can see that Keith is injured as well. Apollo keeps targeting him. Health potions gone. All 6 on each side have been used.
Yeah.
Usually, though, the low marksman is a worse situation than low support. So that's a slight advantage to EnVy as far as general composition, in my opinion. Because, well, they have to farm. They have to stay in lane. Echo Fox going for the first recall. They should have plenty of money to buy a BF sword. 1,700 gold in the inventory. And the next wave in is not a cannon wave, so it's actually not the ideal recall timing, to be honest.
Does get the BF sword in, though, as well as boots. So as far as a build path goes, it's not bad. Gate will happily gobble up that CS. It's not like Malzahar has bad scaling.
Yeah. And it slows down the pushing a little bit. This actually allows him to build it into a freeze. Because he killed a lot of these minions off, it allows him to kind of sit there, drag it down in front of the turret, and very interesting, actually. This is not bad after all because of how Gate played it. The desynced recall could be weird. You have a chance to 2v1 the bot lane. Lyra's 6, and Keith will knowingly be alone. But I don't think it'll be much. Lyra's on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for bottom lane to become a battleground in this game. Ashe Malzahar versus Varus Morgana is just chock full of initiation, not to mention these are two very strong level 6 junglers that can burst a lot of damage. So I feel like the first team that actually goes for a 3-man gank, if there's not the counter gank there, will get a kill. So I want to see them go down bottom this game.
See if it happens. Summoners are available, making it a bit harder to kill them off. Meanwhile, of course, Acadia and Lyra missing their own flashes. Ninja's exhaust is up, Froggen's Ghost the same. Quick ward clear gives away control of the top side of mid. And Hako is actually roamed out of the lane right now. He's helping the team invade towards blue.
Yeah, super interesting. They could actually prep a dive topside with this and try and kind of shatter expectations of the bot lane becoming the fight area for the game. But instead, they just kind of were ready for a potential collapse afterwards. That's why Hakuo roamed, and Apollo's just trying to wave clear.
You know, blue buffs in 2017, Jat. What do you even do? 4v1? There's no way you can get away, and Envy just hard dives him. Poor blue buff, undefended. But Echo Fox kind of, after realizing how much pressure was spent on the top side of the map, just collapsed back down for an 8.5-minute Ocean Drake, which is super valuable. Especially
Agreed.
propping up against a Varus lane is really big.
Super weird tactic there by Envy. I think they were expecting Acadian to want to fight that, and they were really hoping, like, oh, we're going to do this clever roam with the support where they never expect us to come here, and definitely didn't work. But I'd say that's more of a bad guess than anything else, and Echo Fox able to get the Ocean Drake, which is a big reward.
Definitely agree. Ocean Drake, I would say, absolutely worth more than the blue buff here, and almost everyone would tell you the same. Team Envy off to a small 200 gold lead overall as a squad. Doesn't have to mean a lot. Hakuo checks a brush with his W, sees no one's hiding in there, and they're going to walk right back out.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take the analogy one step farther of like the blue buff for Ocean Drake trade, which is a comical analogy because obviously the Drake is better, but it's like you either get the blue buff, which is increased mana regeneration for 2.5 minutes, or the Ocean Drake, which is mana and health regeneration for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So very important that Echo Fox is able to get that Ocean Drake.
Absolutely agree, and it's going to make their lanes much easier to play in right now. Quick magic resist pickup for Looper, kind of convenient for him. Both solo lanes are actually magic damage focused, and Apollo won't exactly be a tank killer, so kind of fortunate that Looper can counter buy both for team fights and his laning phase. A little bit convenient there. Meanwhile, Keith and Acaden, of course, will deal a lot of damage, and when you've got Mercury Treads for Seraph and Hexbreaker for Ninja, those don't mean nearly as much. Some small itemization wins I feel like that do favor Echo Fox slightly.
I love the Double Thorns, Lost Chapter, Power Spike for Orianna. I just feel like Orianna's build path is so smooth now with the Morellos into either the Ludens or the Leandries. This is a pretty dangerous move, though. The damage burst from the Maokai and Kha'Zix.
There's the root. Equalizer to buy some time. Flashes right back out as well, and it's just not going to be enough damage done. Now Acaden's got to be careful of the fact that Lyra wants in. Looper's going to flash, and the Sonic Wave is going to be dodged away. Seraph can't find his opponents anymore. Acaden's still getting burned on. Kicked into the wall. Beautifully played, and Lyra getting first blood against North America's first blood king. Nicely done to the Envy duo.
Specifically, how quickly Seraph was able to flash out of there. You used to see in the Maokai lock him down for a little bit longer and have to watch that again to see exactly what happened. But it ended up Echo Fox just taking a bunch of damage, and we're going to see the tail end of this one with Lyra just not taking any chances with a dodged Q, kicks him straight into a wall and allows them to pick up the kill because of the large amount of damage Rumble can put out at level 8. So the counter gank successfully comes through for Lyra, lowering Acadian's first blood participation.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, 0-1-0, not a scoreline you very often see on the Echo Fox jungler. Of course, you can see the online fans very surprised with this result so far as well. 3-1 odds for Echo Fox. Sounds about right, to be honest. 3/4 of them saying Echo Fox will win this match, but it's not going this way. Team Envy certainly playing much better than generally expectations would show. A couple defensive control wards coming out now for Echo Fox to get some of their map control back, but you can see some very aggressive deep ones have been placed down by Team Envy as well. There's the one behind the red buff a while back, and a regular Sightstone ward in there as well can really help track Acadian. And no one should be surprised by this Kha'Zix for a while.
Yeah, I completely agree. Not a good start for something they managed to first pick over the Varus. Not that the Varus is dominating, but poke like that makes him a very safe, threatening laner for the majority of the game. Hasn't even completed his first major item yet. I'm also interested in keep going Vamp Scepter this early. Ashe usually builds an Essence Reaver, Hurricane, Infinity Edge, and then you'll get into some lifesteal. But refillable pot and a Vamp Scepter? Really just trying to make sure he can sustain through the Varus poke, but it's really going to delay his power spikes.
Yeah, it does delay him. There's a couple interesting things going on. So of course, for one thing is the new metagame for bot lane marksman, by the way, is going longsword 3 potions regardless of your champion. And Ashe is not always a longsword user. If he goes Essence Reaver, then okay, sure, that goes into Warhammer, goes into Essence Reaver. If he's going Infinity Edge, he just kind of sits in inventory for a long time. And you know, provided that start, it's only a 500 gold detour to grab this, which is not as painful, but it does delay him pretty significantly. Considering you're in a race against lethality to get your crit chance up and you've just done a 900 gold detour, that's a bit rough for Keith.
And I feel like he's, obviously I can be proven wrong here, but I feel like he's going to go Essence Reaver anyway, because that is
likely
kind of the default Ashe build. So enough about that. His damage is going to be low. If there is fights where people get away with slivers, we'll be able to call that out. Froggen, though.
Let's push on. Yeah, Froggen a little bit late on his flash. The chase in through for Ninja, but here comes everything else they need to do, and Ninja going to be dropped down for the overextension. Echo Fox is there on time. The Ashe are helping. The Mal's ult the same, and here's the chase in towards Seraph. Doesn't really have a way out, but the kick comes in. Looper didn't pop the ulti for damage in time. The flash volley is a slow, but that's probably over-aggressive from Keith. Didn't need to do it. The 1 for 0, though, still a positive for Echo Fox.
Yeah, 5 summoner spells blown on the side of Echo Fox, 3 on the side of Envy. But as you say, advantage Echo Fox with Ninja going in too far and no Shen ult to save him this game. So Froggen starts the trade, as you mentioned, Flash Blade, but it is the roam from Echo Fox that is able to come through there. And it's surprising they were able to roam up that far in a lane that, you know, Apollo can be shoving in with that. They could potentially be the Vamp Scepter, making sure they're not getting poked off, adding a little bit to that ability to shove.
Well, I would say if you have an Ocean Drake, you don't need a Vamp Scepter.
That's another thing.
And you have Warlord's Bloodlust. Like, if you're Jhin, I get it, right? You've got Deathfire Touch, there's no Ocean Drake, you can actually get poked out. I don't think Keith needs Vamp Scepter in this landing phase. So I do think it's a misplay and a misbuy, but you can see this fight again. The Shockwave definitely buys quite a bit of time.
Yeah, and then also note how the Equalizer is down from Seraph. So when they chase through like that, it's rough. And then we get to see Seraph down one more time. This time the gank does work from Acadian. We will get a replay of that shortly.
All right, Acadian finally getting a kill on the board, and that's got to feel nice. Again, but the fact that Seraph had to counter build Magic Resist to deal with Looper has almost no stats at all to defend him against Acadian, and just means he does more damage than he would otherwise.
Acadian back in the game with that kill. Also, if Looper can snowball ahead in that lane, Rumbles can have a really bad time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Seraph actually, of course, building defensively didn't want to be picked off by Maokai, which is why he went for Merc Treads. That means less penetration, though, and he's just going to face checking with Kha'Zix.
Yeah, was trying to get the control ward, so he had the right idea, but if Echo Fox beats him to the spot that he needs vision, he needs to be a little more cautious about getting those wards and either throw in a harpoon while juking sideways, even that can hurt, or wait until Lyra's a little bit closer, because Lyra was already doing Krugs. So it could have been a waiting game. Seraph trying to proactively ward goes a little bit too early.
He does. So you go back into the game, and Jet, you're right, Essence Reaver is the build for Keith, so it is a full 900 gold sidestep by going to the Vamp Scepter. It could have been turned into the Warhammer, so, well, it doesn't hurt him if they win the game anyway, I guess. You can kind of analyze it that way. Keith certainly is not dying.
Yeah, from an efficiency game. Oh, here we go.
Ooh, Black Shield slightly too late. Does block some of the damage, but the re-engage is here, and Keith is exhausted. That's going to make life real difficult. He goes down. Vamp Scepter or not, a double kill down to the bot lane as Lyra picks one up as well. Acadian going to flash out the binding. Quick turnaround, though, by Team EnVy. Nicely played.
Yeah, Echo Fox definitely was not ready for that teleport in from Seraph, because they're trying to make a very offensive play when they can't match with teleport, and Froggen isn't even close. So the best case, if they had accounted for the teleport, is that they're into a 3v3 against a level 10 or 11 top laner, which is still going to be a loss. So not a smart move by Echo Fox, but once again, good response by EnVy.
And it means they're going to pressure down this bot lane outer turret, and it's going to be 2 games in a row that Team EnVy get first turret gold as well. And even it's twice in a row, it goes to the bot lane. This time, less of it was Apollo's hard work and more it was a misstep by Echo Fox, but it still pays off to a solid advantage. Team EnVy up 2,000 gold. Acadian making the best of the situation. Yeah, unfortunately, Looper's going to be late on that turret kill.
Oh, man.
And looking for a bit now on to Ninja. Look at the damage. Acadian can't get out. Pretty much a perfect equalizer from Seraph.
And that's the story. The equalizer completely cutting off Acadian. Had to run across the whole thing. Oh, man, a greedy counter jungle attempt there by Acadian as the Mountain Drake is going down on EnVy's side. Great job by Seraph there.
Yeah, and absolutely just really great stuff. And, you know, you thought it was kind of the right play. The whole team's in the bot side. You actually saw Lyra help kill a turret off, so who's really going to be in that side of the jungle? You've got pressure in mid, still gets killed for it.
Yeah, we're going to watch this one more time. In the instant that Gate presses that ultimate, Seraph begins to teleport. So even though the Black Shield didn't stop the Nether Grasp, it still reduced the damage, which is all they're going to need is the delay until Seraph gets there.
Yeah, it was, of course, again, a trade of turrets. Looper did kill the top lane one, but first turret gold itself, the extra bonus, the 400 gold you get to the team that got it, still went EnVy's way. It's a kill worth of gold, obviously, and it's a 1,600, 1,700 gold lead. Ninja now in split push duty. This Corki with the package makes him incredibly safe. It's going to time out in 10 seconds, though, so not much more to do with his passive. Gonna maybe rejoin this Varus in mid, and it creates some level of turret pressure as they're gonna send, and I've seen this play before actually. It's 4 top, Corki roams back to mid after clearing bot lane, and EnVy looking for a solid push on this top lane outer turret.
Yep, at the very least, they're gonna be able to get deep vision into the jungle of Echo Fox. And unless Echo Fox is smart to this play, they're not gonna be able to make advantages. It hurts as well that Keith is without a turret in the bottom side, so he needs to even worry about Corki trying to 1v1 him, so he's got to be a little bit trepid about pushing up that bottom lane.
Yeah, look at the fact that you've got Acadian trying to shadow him down here, but he walked through wards doing it, so they know Acadian's not anywhere near top side. They know he's waiting in this brush, hoping to back up Keith if the dive does come through, and that's props to EnVy for getting the wards in before they left the lane. There's just no trap to be had.
Starting to play the map a little bit better as they walk clean over a ward in the jungle, but because they're such a massive group right now, initiation opportunity is low. Ooh, bad teleport by Looper.
Yeah, that sucks. That's a 3-minute cooldown missing. He's not going to have that for a while. He's going to line up somewhat closely with the Ocean Drake spawning, but it's going to be barren up for a while without him having that. Might not mean much, but it's still a window that Seraph will have very soon with TP advantage yet again. Last time around, it became 2 kills in first turret gold, so something to be concerned about for Echo Fox.
True. I do want to touch a little bit, though, on the larger picture here of Echo Fox's item builds. I think it's pretty rare we see a team with 5 versions of refillable potion on their team. So 4 members have it as well as a corruption potion in the top lane. And potentially this could be a response to EnVy's team composition being so poke oriented that they just want to make sure Ocean Drake plus refillable pot, maybe they can just prevent EnVy from being able to poke them off before fights because they can regen from the Ocean Drake, help that along since everyone should always have a refillable pot. And as I say that, Keith sells his refillable potion for double dagger, but he's got the Vamp Scepter.
All right.
We're good to go.
Yeah, he's got some sustain for himself. All right, I think it's a passable choice. I don't know if you really need the second dagger. It's maybe a bit greedy to get the power now, but whatever.
It's a minor point about just efficiency of item choices and trying to counter team compositions. I'm not sure if Echo Fox is doing it, but it could be done. Whether or not it even works that well, since poke is usually more substantial than a couple health potions.
True.
But
it's 250 HP regardless. It's not a bad thing to have. We saw the stat a second ago, EnVy with I believe it was 30.7% win rate with a lead at 20 minutes. And this is, one of these smaller leads you could have. They still did close it out in game 1, but we are in a new one here, and the comps are quite a bit different. Echo Fox still have not found really those team fight engages, though. Again, they have the tools. Pretty much all of them have ways of starting a fight pretty beautifully. Team EnVy happy to play a split push sort of poke-focused game, and so far have done a good job of it.
Yeah, and I'd say EnVy's really just grouping up a lot. The last 2 or 3 minutes of this game have pretty much been Lyra, Seraph, Apollo, and Hakuho all running around while Ninja's off clearing sideways. So it's, unless Ninja's getting picked off, it's pretty hard for Echo Fox to pick off that unit. As Echo Fox, even though EnVy's been grouped so much, hasn't been able to get a large lead in any of the side lanes.
And that makes it a little bit rough. Echo Fox, once again, having a shot call from behind, and for a team that's all about hard engaging with ultimates, they really haven't found those situations. Look at this, Ninja getting a lot of alone time with that bottom turret. It's down to half. No one's even answering. It's a full minion wave that got lost that Echo Fox didn't grab. And you've got a Corki splitting in the bot side of the map, and there's still no team fight started.
Yeah, definitely not. Ash Arrow, pretty much haven't seen it all game.
Yeah.
There's already a QSS on Apollo, so that would prevent that. Not to mention the Black Shield is something they're a little worried about going into, but you still have to take the shots.
Well, maybe they'll find the opening eventually. Gate is babysitting, puppy guarding, whatever the term, as Acadian takes down a Scuttlecrab on the top side 22 minutes in. A little bit of Baron control. They're going to clear away this blue trinket, and it shows that EnVy a little bit afraid of what could be happening. Hawkshot comes in afterwards. Maybe we see some pressure over these global objectives. I feel like Echo Fox, I don't know if they want to keep waiting around for the chance of EnVy slipping up. EnVy are playing cleaner League of Legends than last week. And Echo Fox might need to force something around Baron or Ocean Drake, something like this, and find the play. Froggen waiting in the brush. They're hoping to find these picks. Right, you can see Lyra having to use his Q to spot out for if Baron's happening. Hako getting the better idea of actually face-checking that tri-brush, nearly got taken down. Now this time they do get behind Ninja. Can he use the package in time? Yeah, I don't know why you nether grasped that. He's unstoppable. I feel like Gate should know better than that.
He was hoping to get him probably before he started the channel, but that was a very poor ultimate. Now Caden's caught out.
Now they found a bit of damage, and Apollo can't quite kill him, though, and Caden does get killed off for that, and Echo Fox trying to make the big play, and it backfires entirely. 1-for-0 Team Envy.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the worst performances or worst series that Caden has had in the LCS here. We just have to appreciate right now Lyra being 1,000 gold ahead of Acadian, and Acadian has been a person who's made such substantial gold against others that he's almost made stats look bad for every other team. But Keith picked off now in the mid lane.
2-for-0 in a row now. Team Envy have really done great things in the last minute and a half. And again, Jat, we're past 20 minutes and Envy are actually growing the gold lead. They are finding some better League of Legends here in this match. And now another Drake to pick up is great.
They're turning it on a little bit. The picks from Hakuho right there. Lyra still capable of picking people off, and most of it is started though when Echo Fox goes for a play. So Envy has made a lot of mistakes, not really knowing what to do, meandering around and face checking. Here though, they have a little bit of deep vision. They just throw an equalizer down to cut Keith off and make it inescapable.
The best he could. He got good damage in a Sarah, but eventually the stun came through from Hakuho's ultimate and he couldn't do anything about it. And unlucky stuff right here. Echo Fox still having to come back from a deficit here. And it's looking more and more difficult. Now, the QSS tax has come in. 3 Quicksilver sashes picked up here on Envy so far. So you can consider that diminishing the gold lead. You can also consider it diminishing the effectiveness of Keith and Gate, depending on how you want to view it, optimistically or pessimistically from either side. Gold lead still. There's 2,500, that is. Oof. And of course, anytime you take damage, Ocean Drake is going to take time to kick back in, so Keith will be injured for a while. Now getting the regen back, but Envy taking away the ward control. Diving in towards this turret, and suddenly Echo Fox have a hard time defending this. If they want to keep going, Acadian chunked out a little bit as well. And Seraph kind of having his way with Looper.
Side lanes doing a lot of work for Envy, and the Void Staff plus Leandries is one of the biggest power spikes that Seraph's got on that Rumble in this stage of the game. So Echo Fox trying to stay away from him. They know the Rumble TP is down. They know the Maokai teleport is up, and they just saw Cork from the top side. So it would be an opportunity to push the mid lane.
They don't go for it.
They just get a little bit of damage.
Yeah, Acadian a little bit too far out. He's waiting for Seraph to do something and doesn't quite find the intro onto him, but maybe you could have backed up mid and they could have gotten damage there. They didn't. Acadian waited around on a control ward, but Seraph did not face check in, so he's just fine.
Yeah.
Wait, once again, Equalizer used to buy some more time, and Envy happy to play a slower paced game.
They really are, and they're slowly pulling ahead here, and some of this definitely falls on blame for Echo Fox as they try and group up once again for this mid lane turret, and it gets cleared away.
They're playing like they see Ninja is alone in top lane, and they will not hit the turret.
Well, here's one of the things with Echo Fox, right? They have been so dominant in the early game, and they have slowly been able to win some games with a lead, but they have not been playing from deficits well at all this year. So even though Envy hasn't been great at closing games, Echo Fox hasn't been good at playing from behind. We're kind of seeing that here, where there are openings that they would be able to take to claw their way back that they are simply not taking. And that's allowing Envy to extend their lead.
And you're even seeing fights where if the gold were 3,000 different, it's Apollo dying and Acadian gets the reset. You know, similar situations could have been there. And look at this, Envy continuing the pressure. They walk right back into mid lane. Still didn't have Corki anywhere around. Mid lane adder's gone. 4,000 gold lead now for Team Envy, 26 minutes in.
Props to them. Ocean Drake, Mountain Drake, pretty much ideal for sieging turrets with the poke composition. Gonna be pretty happy about that. And because they've already built the QSSs and they have a Morgana, the threat of the Ash Arrow and Malzahar ultimate are very diminished.
So what can they do at this point, honestly? Echo Fox, maybe Looper gets a flank, but he's getting pushed in by Seraph more often than not. Level 16 Looper temporarily has a higher ranked ultimate, but it doesn't seem to mean very much. He's not battling Seraph.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that potentially is Envy has spent so much of this game with Ninja split pushing and the other 4 members of Envy grouping. So with the teleport up on Looper, if Echo Fox wants to come back in this game, you need to get a deep ward, flank with Looper, catch a group with the Orianna ultimate, because then it doesn't matter if they have QSSs, and just win a team fight that way. Ori, I think, is a very good pick against double marksman compositions like that. Oftentimes the two pokers are close together, and you can occasionally shockwave both of them, which can win you a fight, even from a gold deficit. But for EnVy, they just need to continue to avoid that play. And the longer they do that, the larger their lead will grow.
And it may continue to get farther and farther ahead. Team EnVy looking to retain map control. After that first Ocean Drake from Echo Fox early on as the trade for the blue buff take, nothing has really gone their way positively. EnVy saying, you know what? I think we're far enough ahead that we can look for a 5-on-5. We can poke you off the objective and then go from there, as they're playing a lot more around Baron Nashor. 1.5 minutes until the third Ocean Drake of the game spawns up. Would be good to steal that away from Echo Fox, as they'd get a lot of use out of it. EnVy wouldn't mind the mana regen, but it's not as beneficial for them, I would say.
Seraph actually.
Okay, well, uses the passive shield. And back they go towards this Baron area. Team EnVy trying to control this side of it. Echo Fox, okay, they get first dibs on clearing the mid lane wave away. That's kind of nice for them, but it's still them playing with Fog of War. Hakuo walking up towards Looper. And some damage on a gate. Ninja behind. They want this team fight, it looks like, right now as they push forward towards the tank. Equalizer doesn't do a lot, though. It's damage on a Looper. He's forced to flash away from it, actually. They put a lot of damage onto the tank.
Yeah, and generally teams don't have that much success when they focus the Maokai, but the thing with EnVy here, and even with their focus, is no one has to commit. So they were able to just kind of poke, and since Fox didn't have a counter initiation of sorts, with Looper maybe going in to get someone who's gone close to him, it is almost free harass, aside from having to burn those two ultimates. And now would be the time for Echo Fox to try and fight back, because those two ultimates are down.
We'll see if EnVy can get more done, though. Of course, if they're winning the poke wars and they've got the 5,000 gold lead, can they just get more out of this at this point? Oftentimes, it's very hard to close games out with the poke team. We've seen a million Jace comps just fall off in the late game once the poke stops mattering. If Echo Fox thinks they can just turtle into outskilling the poke, then maybe that's their game plan. I don't know if it's a successful one, but it's one way to analyze the game, certainly. Cajun will keep scaling as well. I would still take a late game Kha'Zix usually over a Lee Sin, but he's not exactly ahead yet.
Exactly, and the super late game Maokai Orianna Ashe is very formidable.
Yeah.
Very classic team fighting composition. So that's still a potential win condition. Looks like another Ocean Drake is going to go over to EnVy, though. That's very beneficial.
And Echo Fox really can't fight for that, and they don't need to deny it. They just rather have it for themselves. They don't get to, though, and they take the time to try to take control back over the top side of the river. That's the price you pay for taking the Ocean Drake, as Echo Fox gets to kill a couple of the wards out. And EnVy will have to reset and try again to get all the vision back their way. Next dragon will be Elder, and it will be a 4-stacked Elder Dragon. Twice as valuable for EnVy as it will be for Echo Fox. And in itself is a good win condition. Should allow them to get a lot done with all their poke. And I say, 4-stacked Elder Dragon, pretty good for poke teams.
I agree with you. 4th QSS on the board. Even Hakuo has a QSS in case he gets Malzahar suppressed and needs to clear out of that to Black Shield and Ash Arrow.
Sure.
Be a lot of buttons to press all at once, but I think he can do it.
The nice thing for them is actually 3 of them are good if we get super late game. Mercurial Scimitar users. They've all got good attack damage ratio scalings. Ninja's got a, I think it's 1.0 on rockets, on small ones, and it's 1.5 on big ones. We'll see if they can get anything more done, though. Froggen just playing the wave clear game, does have plenty of good farm, but so does Apollo, actually out-CSing him slightly overall on the map. Looper's got plenty of gold himself, and he's only got 1.5 item slots to go. Control wards maybe count. Abyssal done for Seraph means he's all kinds of scary, and it'll even amplify Ninja's damage, the aura that it gives.
True. And at this point, EnVy really just trying to set up around the Baron Pit, control wards all through the river, hoping Echo Fox face checks.
Arrow, Black Shielded, nicely done. Good reflex out of Hakuo.
The one dude who didn't have a QSS covered with the Black Shield, so smart. That's one of the reasons Keith hasn't been thrown into
But they
the
got control over mid. Yeah, Keith gets chunked out, but it will mean the turret's going to go down. Equalizer to buy a bit of time. Shockwave going to come in, not do much. Seraph almost chunked out, but not going to go down. And Cajun forced to retreat, and Looper running out of HP. He's got Guardian Angel. They've got some time to buy. Actually, take that back. GA maybe not done for him just yet. Poke's going to come through. Okay, I couldn't see it. It was GA. I take it all back. But Keith, having a flash out, nearly dropping, has to run, and Looper is going to die for this one. TP maybe not required from Seraph, but they might be going for Baron as a result.
Yeah, that's pretty much why you teleport back in, is because you want to immediately force an objective. They know they've killed Looper and pushed Keith out of the fight, so it is a 5v3 if Echo Fox should try and stop this, and the Shockwave is down for another 15 seconds.
It's all they need. This Baron's going to lose health pretty rapidly. Acadian, no flash, no wards right now for Echo Fox either. Acadian down to half HP, 2K left. Baron reveal! Can't get it. Nicely picked up there by Lyra, and more kills should be coming through soon. Gate has nowhere to be. He's going to drop down Froggen. Shockwave on Ninja doesn't do anything, and I don't even know why the rest of the team is even helping for this one. It should have been the one-man steal attempt. Echo Fox giving away 2 more kills, and this Froggen kicked into dying, and look at that, a delayed ace. Almost here for Team EnVy, plus the Baron. Look at that lead, 7,000.
And just like last game, massive swing at the Baron pit. Acadian's timing was actually pretty awesome as far as trying to get that smite steal. It's just, I don't know if he did smite, I think. I'll need to check if his smite was up at the end of that one, but he didn't get the steal, which is the important part. And once that goes down, as you mentioned, Froggen came in for the end of this and fed a few more kills.
So a 1 for 0 into a 3 for 0 plus the Baron. Gotta feel pretty good right now. Team EnVy looking to make it a 2-0 win, and that's honestly a pretty big shock to many people here. But they have all the tools they need, and after the Game 1 performance, I feel like you can reliably say EnVy are supposed to win this one now, and I'd say with confidence this is theirs. But you never know. It was only one game they managed to actually close out well. Should still look good. 2.5 minutes left of the Baron buff, though, means they can get a lot more done. Echo Fox will have to continue to wait, continue to turtle, and hope that something can go their way. Siege going to be in the bot side. You can see EnVy actually mostly grouped up on it. Apollo alone in mid, but the rest of the squad down to the bot side. Playing for control over this side of the jungle. Smart of them. That's going to be a dead turret, not even a problem. 5-2 in turrets.
Yeah. And this team composition is wicked when they have Baron, because they have such range to kill turrets with, and then the minions just give them so much extra time to do so. Not to mention, if Echo Fox tries to engage, just the added stats of the Baron with the Skull Bead just set up very hard to stop sieges.
Echo Fox just have to play the slow, delayed waiting game. Unfortunately, it's kind of all they've played. It's almost like a regression. Echo Fox, I feel like they're playing like Summer Split Echo Fox, where they had an okay early game, they were close, and then they just ended up waiting around, is the weird thing. It really feels like they've reverted 5 months back in the past.
Yeah. Or EnVy, maybe finding some ways to improve on the past, but as we've mentioned, there have been some holes in the way EnVy has been trying to close this game, where they've left themselves open to lose turrets or potentially be initiated on. But
sure,
now, since it hasn't happened with the 4 QSSs and the Black Shield from Morgana, it seems like there's very few options. I did double check that Baron steal. Lyra smoked just as Acadian was jumping in, secured the Baron, and then Acadian just hit Chilling Smite. So that's why his smite went on cooldown, because it was a very, very clean smite by Lyra to execute before Acadian could come in.
So technically, you know, 1/10 of a second late of a smite by Acadian. Cursor ended up being over a champion afterwards. And
yep.
But yeah, that is props to Lyra for a very clean take right there. We know Acadian's mechanics are great. There we go, a Shockwave on a Ninja, packages away, and to Echo Fox's credit, they've bought a fair bit of time.
Yeah.
But it looks like EnVy happy to play the delayed game anyway. They're happy to just get some tier 2 turrets and play for the Elder Dragon as Baron times out in 10. They do get top lane tier 2. They push the gold lead to 11K. And that is EnVy playing a pretty methodically secured game now. Acadian looking for the play onto Seraph. I feel like he's got a chance if his team can join, but
yeah,
EnVy's there first.
He was hoping for an isolate, because if Acadian doesn't get the isolate, Seraph will just outdamage him with the Flame Spitter. So smart play there by Seraph, kind of waiting for the team to arrive with him and always staying close to his minions.
EnVy able to play a siege game pretty nicely. Double Ocean Drake means their health bar is huge the whole time. You saw Ninja get chunked down pretty low from the Froggen Shockwave, and now he's back to full HP. Yeah. Maybe they can stay on the map and go for this Elder Dragon.
What's normally a push killer wasn't, because of the Double Ocean Drake, and now this could be a pivotal fight in the game if Echo Fox wants to try and steal it. EnVy gets it low very quickly. Hawkshot, I'd say, is late. I think this Elder Drake is gone.
It's not even a chance.
They want to try and steal anyway.
It's not going to happen. Shockwave is not yet up, or is he not even going to cast it? Nothing happens at all. The ball was on him. And now the re-engage could be so easy. Keith getting chunked out. The kick puts him right in front of where Rumble's going to show up here. A flash away from Gate. Lyra lands a Sonic Wave. Black Shield's on. There's no way that Keith kills him off. And it's going to be even more picked up there. Flashing. He's trying to kite away. He just doesn't kill the tanks fast enough. He's too durable. He's got the Ninja Tabby. And there we go. Apollo takes him out. 13-2 in kills. EnVy have all the control they need.
Could be the game. Looper and Froggen are the only ones alive, but EnVy doesn't quite have the minion waves where they want them. Thinking of that fight, Acadian just kind of lost his mind. Definitely one of his worst games here. He was way too far ahead of the rest of the team and then dove into a 3-stack Elder Drake, or 3 Elemental Drake, Elder Drake team.
Yeah.
I feel like the ball actually shot back to Froggen because Acadian was way forward on that jump.
Yeah, at a certain point, he just wasn't able to do it anymore. And, well, it's looking like Team EnVy trying to close it out, but the respawns are coming in. Acadian's back up, Gates up in 3. It will mean at least the middle inhibitor. Bot inhib turret is gone as well. Will they get the second inhib? Maybe not, actually. Echo Fox alive enough. 10 seconds on Keith. Echo Fox must wait for their bot laner to respawn. And Keith actually, terrible tank trading in this build, by the way, went all the way into an early Mercurial Scimitar.
Yeah.
Which,
Watching this one more time, you can see Acadian is sped up, but look where Froggen is versus where Acadian is. And
yeah, it turns back
gone.
right.
And that is a tilter slash a play that a tilted player makes, because Acadian well ahead of his team, 1v5 into a team that's 10,000 gold up, instantly dies, and the rest of the team just has to run away, and they are unable to get away from everyone. But Keith does buy enough time that the game isn't actually over, but 15,000 gold lead, Elder Drake, Baron on the way in another minute. It's close.
One more attack kills him off in the end. And yes, the problem is Keith doesn't have real DPS right now. It's not that he wasn't ridiculously behind in gold. I mean, he's down 4K now because of all the extra gold EnVy's picked up, but that's a team with a 15,000 gold lead. That's kind of understandable. But Scimitar is not a good DPS item. Like, he's got to be able to cut through Lyra, and he did like 110 damage per auto attack, which is not enough. I don't know, a little bit too defensive a build for my taste, Keith, and you need to be a bigger damage source in this one.
Yeah, and already an open inhibitor here, so they don't need to worry about the minion wave clear. Elder Drake up for a few more seconds, so they want to posture here, and Echo Fox might want to try and engage, even though they are way behind.
Black Shield and QSS used. Lyra is not going to be stunned regardless, doesn't really matter for him. And the siege can continue. Baron up in 8 seconds. Do they want to play for that, or do they go for the inhibitor? Looks like they'll keep poking out against Looper and co, and the push forward will continue. And it's interesting that EnVy are not really willing to attack the inhibitor without their minion wave present. They don't need it. It's not like inhibs get backdoor bonus, but Echo Fox being pushed around a little bit. At Keith, life stealing up a little bit. Now comes the play for the inhibitor, down to about 2/3. Look at the shockwave. They don't get almost anything at all, and he kicks him right back out of Looper. Acadian running out of health, and here comes the dive into the backline. A lot of damage coming out of Sarah. Pops the Zonius, gets a double kill for his efforts. Guardian Angel popped as well. Can they make that a third after the inhibitor drops down? Looper flashing to safety. Ninja not taking any damage. Gate doesn't matter. Kill comes through. Ninja getting one. Lyra does not taking damage still. He's too tanky for it all. Looper finally turns one back and stays alive, but it's all over anyway. Team EnVy actually going to make it the 2-0 win over Echo Fox. Only their second match win in 9 here for EnVy. They finally do get the win. In 10, I take it back. Their record improves to 2-8, and Echo Fox once again dropped down below 500.
Yeah, and EnVy may not always win, but when they do, it's 2-0. So they make quick work of Echo Fox. The 34-minute game followed by the 40-minute game here, and a very decisive victory, 16 kills to 3. This was one of the cleanest games I have seen EnVy play, as they were up against the Ash Malzahar and pretty much never got picked off. You can share some blame with that, with Echo Fox needing to be more proactive early, but Lyra individually really had a great game on Lee Sin, always ahead of Acadian and shutting him down throughout the whole game.
Easy Froggen not very happy with this game at all. I don't know if he was still dealing with his peripherals, but wasn't really reacting. Okay, there he goes. He's up and shaking hands, apologizing for not getting him in time. I guess he's very focused on getting himself through that one. But EnVy, yeah, you got to feel happy about this one. This is a good opponent to beat, too. It's a team that was able to beat top-tier talent. Echo Fox 4-4 and, you know, looked pretty reasonable. But EnVy clearly outclassed them. I've got to give props to Lyra for outshooting Acadian both games on kind of both sides of a similar matchup. He beat them on the Rek'Sai into Lee Sin, where he was out farming every time the ganks came through, played Lee Sin himself, and kept up in farm and the kills. Lyra was a very big standout in Game 2 especially.
I know, and it kind of just goes to show you the difference a certain matchup can make, or the difference a week can make in the North American LCS, because Echo Fox 2-0 last week against decent teams, pretty strong. EnVy already 0-1 on this game. We're just thinking, man, there's no way EnVy shows up against Echo Fox.
Right.
Echo Fox is turning into a playoff team. They're going to do it. No, Echo Fox was unable to make plays almost the entire series. Every time they would try, EnVy would turn it around on them. And this was, while EnVy wasn't perfect, it was a much better EnVy than we've seen almost any other week aside from their 2-0 against Team Liquid.
Sure, absolutely agree. So, hey, EnVy end their week on a win. There's still a lot of room to go. They're still in last place right now. I guess they're roughly tied with Liquid at 2 wins. I believe that's accurate. So, okay, they can start jockeying. Maybe there's teams to catch a little bit, but we know Immortals is at 4. I think CLG's at 4. You've got, I think P1's at 5 and EchoFox is at 4, but you can start catching that up over the next 4 weeks of matches you've got left to play.
It's close, exactly. They've played 10 games. They have 8 left, so there's still plenty of season to be played. Obviously, the goal wants to be playoffs, but for them, they got to make sure they're getting into that 8th or 7th place spot.
Yeah, that's safety.
So they can be a summer split team as well. So very important wins every time they can pick one up like this, especially if it's 2-0, because that can just help your team so much from a mentality perspective.
Totally agree.
We were talking earlier, winning is easy. It's losing that's hard. And if this team would have gone into the 2-week break 1-9, that is a mental drain on the entire team. Yeah. So being able to have a 2-0 will help this team a lot.
Yeah, and of course on the other side, we can talk about how EnVy was so good. EchoFox still have a match to play, of course, and some of it's the curse. They lose in odd weeks, they win in even weeks, regardless of their opponent quality. But at the same time, they still have to reset and go into their Immortals match and say, okay, can we just clear our minds and, can Acadian match up well against Dardoch, who's had a pretty good season so far and actually have the early game leads he's supposed to have this whole time around, and then continue on. Like, what's the excuse going to be if you lose to Immortals and EnVy teams that you're supposed to be better than?
Yeah, odd week. That's the excuse.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, our practice was bad again. Like,
yeah.
Do you keep having bad weeks of practice off and on? Like, is that going to be okay for you? And so, I want to see if EchoFox can bounce back. They're supposed to be able to, but it's still surprising where they don't get a good early game and just, I guess they can't win now.
I agree. And they had been the best early game team, but if all teams, EnVy actually had good early games too. So this was one of the times where we were able to see them win the game. One of the 30% times they win the game after having a goal lead at 20 minutes. And like we said, they need to be able to improve on that, and it's got to feel good to be able to end the week with a win.
All right, well, it's got to feel good for them. But now we do have that 2-0 win for EnVy, and let's hear it over from Zyrene, I believe, who's got an interview with their top laner.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, I'm here with Sarah from EnVy. You guys finally got the 2 wins. You guys finally put 2 wins on the board. I was actually doing some research on you, and I went back, and all the way in 2003, your very first professional game of League of Legends, you actually played against Looper, and you lost. So how did it feel actually going up against the Season 4 world champion and winning?
I really excited for today's game because he was a very first time player versus me, and I really prepared too much thing for today to win. Yeah.
And you did a fantastic job up in that top lane, and like you said, it does feel good, and you actually prepared a whole lot for the matchup. And we've been hearing from EnVy that you guys had Lyra, and you went on record saying he's the best jungler that you've ever played with. What, in your opinion, actually makes Lyra so great?
Since I starting the league as a pro player, I really try to learn about the rotation thing and in NA. But when I play with Lyra, there was next level strategy and game knowledge. So since he come to my team, I grown up really super big.
And talking about that growth, we're seeing it from EnVy. You guys are actually having early game gold advantages pretty consistently. It's just that 30-minute mark. It doesn't seem to all come together. What do you think has been the biggest issue for EnVy actually closing these games out?
I think biggest issue is we have a terrible visa issue, and we have not much time for practice together. So individually, we have a really good mechanic, each lane and also junglers, but we don't have that much time for figuring out the mid and late game. So that's the biggest problem, I think.
All right, well, didn't seem to be a problem in that game. You guys walk away with the victory there. Thank you very much, Seraph. Congratulations. Good luck in the future as well. Hopefully we'll see EnVy climb a little bit in the standings. Now, we're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to close out that match.
Thank you very much, Zyrene. EnVy able to pick up a 2-0 victory over EchoFox. I don't think anyone expected that coming into today.
Odd week EchoFox. The 0-2 EchoFox.
Oh,
it's going to
boy.
happen.
Hey, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. But before we talk about that, let's talk about EnVy and the fact that they did craft a 2-0 victory today over a middle-of-the-pack team. That's going to be huge for them. We heard Seraph talking there. He thinks that they have the mechanics individually. They have skill on their team, but it's about finding how they mesh. And, of course, this is one of the rosters that wasn't complete in Week 1. Lear did struggle to get into the country, and so, of course, they're on a delay comparatively to the rest of the teams in terms of their improvement over the split.
Yeah, and I think, we heard Seraph talking about how he's one of the best junglers to ever play with, and I think he actually is a really bad matchup for a lot of teams that rely on their junglers to make plays early, thinking like Echo Fox, maybe like an Immortals, where you expect to see Dardoch and Acadian popping off, making these early plays. And Lyra's really smart. He's kind of that control style jungler, favors farm a little bit more, but he's at the right place where he needs to be to support his team for anything that might be coming his way. So a good example is the counter ganks that he pulled this game to get EnVy the early leads.
Exactly that. We saw him make a visit to the top lane as well as the bottom lane, both times a counter gank, both times resulting in kills and advantages for EnVy. I mean, this team has been no stranger to early game leads throughout the split, right? Even in lost matches, they are coming out with early leads at 15 minutes, and he's been a massive part of it.
Right, and Seraph deserves some credit for starting this off a bit, getting Lyra in range with the W, and then he's able to come and turn it. And these are the kinds of plays that seem to always happen with Lyra, where he's farming really hard, getting good individual advantages, which helps EnVy get their leads, and then he's always able to punish people for any kind of over-aggression. And good enough not to overstep his boundaries there and dive and give up the kill back, which some people do.
Yeah, and great ward there in the bot lane, spotting out Acadian, so it makes it an easier counter gank to pull off when you know where the enemy jungler is. But even so, requires them to be in the right place, right time. They're able to turn this one, pick up a couple kills, and really give themselves a nice advantage at only 16 minutes into the game. But of course, it's still up to them to close it out because they've been in this position a million times. And Scar, they're able to do it this time around. My question is, what exactly were the factors that allowed them to do that? Or was it was it Echo Fox on an odd week?
Maybe a little bit of both. It's usually if a top team underperforms, like it gets beat, it's like they underperformed a little bit and the other team played well. And so definitely, I think that was the case in this situation. Very rarely do you see Echo Fox lose early games, and so this is a series where probably Acadian had his worst early game series of the entire split. And you saw what happens if he doesn't get going, then they kind of just falter. The first game, like they tried to get picks mid lane, but due to this Shen, they weren't able to convert that much. It eventually just got outscaled. And then second game, I just thought that Lyra did a great job on lead.
Yeah, first game we had a very decisive Baron call from EnVy that helped them kind of snowball their lead. This time a riskier call where there was an option for a steal, still able to secure it there for Lyra, and that definitely helped them. The big fight came 37 minutes into the game, 3-for-0 around Elder, results in a mid-inhib as well, so that's really going to give them the map control that they need.
I mean, this is such an ambitious engage by Acadian. He had the ball on him, hoping to get the Orianna ult.
Yeah, did it snap back there? I did actually miss that. I think it may have snapped back when he dove in.
I believe it did. Either way, it is pretty ambitious to jump into 5 people with them having full vision of you. So ultimately, once that initial engage attempt didn't work, you have the Elder Dragon. EnVy just turns back and re-engages onto Echo Fox, going to be able to pick up multiple members. Keith,
so yeah, pretty good.
Doing some good kiting.
Showing mechanics there, but
almost
it's
getting out.
all for naught. All for naught when 3 people with Elder Dragon are chasing you down. But again, for EnVy, I think most importantly, this is a feel-good win. You did it in 2-0 fashion, and you've got a slight morale boost. Now it's about what did you learn from this? What are the positives you took from this, and how can you make sure that they happen from game to game? I
mean, that is the hard part. Game 1 was a much faster victory than here in Game 2. They still struggle a little bit with terms of doing the set plays, of getting the Baron vision and denying it, because like you said, they had a chance to steal their Echo Fox on that first Baron attempt, so they still need to work on that stuff. And that is very tricky when you're dealing with communication barriers and those kinds of things. And it seems like EnVy is still struggling with that a little bit. But overall, this is, like you said, a very feel-good win because, I mean, you're looking at Team Liquid. They're not looking very good. You can probably catch up to them, potentially some other members too.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a team where I had almost already written them off because I just keep looking at their games like they don't know how to do anything except for have a good early game. But they were able to convert a 2-0 win against what I thought was a very, very good team at the time.
I would have put Echo Fox in my top 5, maybe in that 5th slot, and here comes EnVy sweeping them in a 2-0 fashion, so that's good on them for that. Player of the game going to Lyra this time around for that Lee Sin play. As you mentioned, the counter gains coming in. The question will be, what does he do against teams that don't have such aggressive junglers? Because this was in part due to how aggressive Acadian was.
Right, if you match him up against someone like Contracts, what happens where it's mostly Jensen just trying to body Ninja or something, and then, you try and come and support him like that, but that's not how the other team's playing the game.
Or the likes of an Ivern. As you mentioned, we've seen Ivern pop up, although not much or at all today. Still a totally different style of jungle that I don't know if Lyra is necessarily going to know how to respond to that one, Scara.
Right, so EnVy might stack up well against like Echo Fox and maybe the likes of Immortals, but the other teams, the other top teams aren't going to fall for the same like problems that Echo Fox ran into this game.
Yeah, and I think a team like TSM is another team that they play a lot more together. So in the other series going on right now, we've seen Sven and Bjergsen running around a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to solely counter gank a single member, where it's usually just a Cadian kind of going off, it's much harder to counter gank the mid laner being there too.
All right, let's talk about Echo Fox on odd weeks. I know it's a meme, I know it's a joke, but here we are. Where's the breakdown? Why does this happen? How can a team have such a stellar week where we're ready to call them a top 4 team, maybe a playoff, a real playoff contender, versus weeks where they go 0-2 and all of a sudden they look, returning to the old ways of Echo Fox or maybe even worse?
I think you got to look a little bit at Looper this series. He was pretty much invisible to me, and he ended up on Maokai 2 games. He does have a couple of the weirder counter picks, and he's a good tank player, but he needs his team to be performing well when he's on the tank. So when you have a Cadian not having his best week, Froggen not getting a ton done on his Syndra game or anything like that, and then you're tanking for that team, I think it looks really, really different than when a Cadian is popping off or when he is on a counter pick that is like the Singed or something. So I think those two elements both happen today where he's on a tank, team not playing well.
All right, some individual missteps from the side of Echo Fox. They'll be looking to clean that up. Over for EnVy, though, very happy with their 2-0 victory over Echo Fox today. It's time now for us to throw you over to NALCS 1, where TSM and Cloud9 are about to hop into Game 3 of this series between our top 2 teams. Enjoy.